Yo guys, it's JJ here, and today I'm going to be taking you guys through how to make a Moneybagg yo type beat. And of course, before we get into this, let me tell you right now, I'm aiming for 600 subs by the end of the year. I'm currently on like 515 if I'm not wrong. But regardless of that, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could drop me a sub or something, show some love. But with all that being said, let's get into the video. First thing you need to know about a Moneybagg yo type beat is the BPM. Usually, his stuff can range within like the mid to low BPM for when it comes to trap. So I'd like to say something around like 120 to 140, but I see him on occasion hopping like the 150, 160 range. So you never know, but typically like the 130s, give or take 10 BPM. Now, the actual beat, first instrument I used, and it's the main melody to be honest, it's a preset from Expand 2, and it's called the Legato Spiccato MW, and it's in the Springs bank. So as you guys can see by a pattern, it's nothing too complicated, but let me just walk you through it. First of all, as you can see, it's typically just a 2-bar loop. However, I have a little bit of variation going on at the end over here. So the first thing you need to know about the whole melody that I made was I knew the root note was going to be the F sharp. So what I did was I kind of played this nice little like melody that repeats up here first. And then I just kept playing the F sharp back at the bottom just to give it that nice little repetitive feel. But at the end of it, I decided to switch it up down to like a C sharp, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 semitones below, as you can see. And usually notes when it comes to the scale, for if you have like the root note of your scale and then take it up or down 5 semitones, you can usually get a nice little melody going. So that's why I got that going. And the last thing I really did to the melody was click Alt R to change the velocity and just make it sound more human. So without further ado, this is what the melody sounds like. And there you have it. Nice, catchy, simple, repetitive, and it's exactly what Moneybagg yo like. So for the strings, the first effect we've got, of course, is an EQ, and what I did was cut off a lot of the lows, few highs, and then the frequencies I wasn't a big fan of, I just ducked them down. On top of that, we've got ourselves a bit of Valhalla vintage verb. And as you can see, the reverb's not too strong, but it helps add ambience and create more space. And then last but not least, all I did was separate the initial string with 23%. As for the next sound, we've got ourselves a preset from Omnisphere, as you guys can see, and we're going to be using the Lotus Flute preset. So before I show you the melody, real quick thing you need to know about Moneybagg yo. What he likes in his beats: strings, keys, flutes, brass, those kind of instruments. Not too much synth stuff I really see, but a lot of his hits do come from stuff like this, and even bells, for example, normal sounds, nothing too synthy. So for the melodies, you can see very simple. Again, it repeats literally every 2 bar, as you can see. However, I just have a little switch up going on over here in the end. So to take you through this, all I initially did was I placed down my F sharp and then I ran it down the scale, as you can see, giving this nice little drop. And as you can see, again, I'm using the use of the F sharp and then going down 5 semitones in a scale down to the C sharp, and it will always sound good. It just always does. It's something that without fail happens. And just in case you're wondering, this was done on the magnet tool of 1 step to get this nice little roll going. And then last but not least, I just had these nice little 2 like transitional notes to call them at the end of every 4 bar. So without further ado, this is what the sound sounds like. And there you have it. So for the flute, first thing I did was whack an EQ, cut off a lot of the lows, duck a few of the highs, and whatever this thing was, I wasn't a fan of it. Next up, I got myself a gross beat, but it's on halftime. And you may be thinking, wait, the melody isn't halftime when you played it. But for the beat for variation, because it's quite a simplistic beat, and that's pretty much how Moneybagg yo beats are, quite simplistic, I turned on halftime, so it's a nice little bit of variation here and there. On top of that, I got myself a fruity limiter. That's just to ensure that when halftime actually happens, flute doesn't just quiet down too much, so I used it more of like a gain, if anything, more of a compressor actually. And then of course, you can't go wrong with more Valhalla vintage verb, because reverb creates ambience, creates space, and that's what we want. And as for the flute, I stereo separated this 86%, making it quite wide in the mix, but effective. And last but not least, we got ourselves the last sound, and that's the Piano V2 plugin with the preset American Large Studio, because that's the preset I like to use. But of course, you can obviously do this with FL keys. So here's the pattern, very simple, not too complicated. Let me walk you through it. Essentially, all I did was repeat a 2-bar pattern. Again, as you can see the pattern, it's literally just 2-bar repetition, because repetition means catchy. Catchy means the artist wants you beat, and if an artist wants you beat, you got yourself a banger. So repeat it every 2 bar, following the root notes, as you can see. And at the end for the 8 bar loop, I did a little bit of variation, and all I actually did was just add another C sharp. As you can see, taking up another octave. Very simple, very straightforward. You may think there's more to it, but nah, it's the game. Keep it simple. So, without further ado, this is what the full melody now sounds like together. And there you have it. But real quick, before we get on to the drums, for the effects for the piano, we got ourselves a lovely little bit of an EQ here, and then a bit more reverb. And as you guys can see real quick, all of it is just pure down to sound selection. I don't add in really too many effects here, keeping the sounds true to themselves, and just making sure it sounds good. And then stereo separated the piano 60%. So, first of all, for the drums, we've of course got ourselves a very basic clap pattern. However, let me take you to the place to show you what I actually did. As you can see, on top of the clap pattern that I've got going on here, I've got another sound that layers on top of it. And this sound is a snare from, of course, the Max Shure kit. And as you can see, the snare doesn't always line up with the clap because I also use the snare as like a counter snare to the main clap. So when the layers don't lay on top of each other, it'll be like a counter snare at the same time. And you'll know what I mean when you now just hear what the clap pattern sounds like. And there you have it. Very simple, very catchy, and the counter snare kind of thing gives it a bit more of a bounce. So that's why I liked it. Now, next up, we got ourselves the infamous hi-hat pattern. And as you can see, it's relatively simple, nothing too complex because, again, you want the beat to be nice, allow the artist to go over it without having too many complications. So, as you can see, got myself a nice little basic roll using the just normal step tool. And to get this roll, I got a half step and then back to the normal step roll. And then here was just playing with the different pitch. And that was really it. And then all I had to do on top of that was just drag it from here to here using the right click and then clicking Control V to copy and paste it over. And there you have it, a full 8 bar. So, without further ado, this is what the pattern sounds like. And there you have it. Nice, simple, repetitive. Next up, I got myself the open hat, and I just placed it on these two different sections of the full 8 bar, and they typically occur at the start of the 2 bar kind of thing, if you know what I mean. So it's essentially the same pattern, just looped over as a full 4 bar copy and pasted. However, all I had to do on top of that was just add this little extra open hat, just create a bit of variation, a bit of a different groove. So that's all it really was. And now, with that being said, this is what the pattern sounds like. And there you have it. Now, of course, onto the 808 pattern. We've got ourselves the spins 808, and this is the very basic 808 pattern that I came up with. I know, impressive. So it's essentially just a 2 bar loops over and over and over. However, for a bit of variation, all I did was at the start of the 5th bar, as you can see here, I added a little extra 808 here and then one here. And then just for variation, I took it up to a C sharp, but yes, up an octave, not below, because I wanted to like switch it up a bit and just add a nice little roll which would suit the whole Moneybagg Yo style. So before I play you the 808, don't forget one thing, and it's a 3-word phrase, and that is to max yo 808. And don't forget it. How you do it? Simple. Control A highlights the whole thing. Use your scroller wheel, max it out. That allows your 808s to be punchy as hell. And on top of that, do it to your kicks, which I'll show you in a minute. And you'll get the hardest sounding drums going, period. It's a simple secret. Not complex, just do it. So this is what the 808 sounds like. And there you have it. Now, last but not least, we have the kick pattern. And you may be thinking, yo, this is the exact same. But no, there's a bit of a variation here. And that is down to literally just this tiny little thing. And then this little tiny little thing. And all that actually is a kick playing before the actual 808 hitting. And that gives it a really nice bounce. Metro Boomin does this primarily from what I can remember. And if Metro does it, I mean, it's a good thing to do. So before I play the full drums together, remember again, max your velocities. And that's all that has to be said. So without further ado, this is what the full drum pattern for a Moneybagg Yo type beat sounds like. And there you have it, folks. now you've got yourselves a full Moneybagg Yo type beat. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that down below. And of course, take it easy. Peace.